From 12 News, this is Newsmakers.
The troubled Providence public schools have been under state control since 2019. Now, state officials are taking a first step toward potentially transitioning the schools back to city control, though Education Commissioner Angelica Infante Green is saying little about whether she thinks it's time. Plus, the ongoing Washington Bridge closure continues to impact the capital city. Traffic flow westbound has improved, but seemingly at the expense of eastbound motorists. What will this mean for the busy upcoming summer tourism season? Our guest this week on Newsmakers, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White, and a happy birthday to my colleague and co-host Ted Nesi, 12 News Politics editor. Providence Mayor Brett Smiley, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start with the Providence Public Schools. In a debate in these studios in August of 2022, we asked you about the state's control of the schools, and I want to play your answer here. Take a listen.
We do need to make sure that the state delivers on its promises. The state is 3 years into this takeover. The takeover is off track, and the next mayor needs to work with the next governor to get it back on track, and I'm prepared.
Okay, quote, the schools are off track, and as mayor, you would help get it back on track. Did you?
I think we are, and the announcement made this week about the interim assessment is an important step in that process. Back in the fall, 6 months ago or so, the Department of Education and the K-12 Board of Education passed new regulations about how a district that's under takeover gets out of takeover. We made substantial edits and in collaboration with RIDE to that. We welcome this interim assessment. I think there's a lot of feelings and opinions about what progress has or hasn't been made. And my hope for this assessment, and I know the Department of Education's hope, is that we can get a fair and unbiased assessment of where have we made progress, where have we not, so that we can focus those efforts. You know, everyone, or many people remember the Johns Hopkins report that kicked this off. Yep. And that was a highly credible report. And it set the foundation for this major change. I'm hoping for the same level of integrity and credibility from this interim assessment, and it'll help us focus our remaining effort before the takeover ends.
You know, why not use the same group that did the report in 2019 to assess if it's on track or not? Would you have rather have seen Johns Hopkins do that assessment again, so you're comparing the apples to apples? I mean,
it would have been great if Johns Hopkins did it. It wasn't my choice. It wasn't the city's choice of who the assessor was, and so I don't know if Johns Hopkins was even available or if it was a price thing. I really don't know. But the organization that they've hired has done work for the schools before. I think it's called SchoolWorks. They're a credible organization, and so I don't have any doubt that it's going to be a substantive, credible review. And again, you know, the schools, for good reasons, is such a personal and emotionally charged topic. We're talking about kids' lives. Parents are talking about their children, and so there's a lot of feelings in terms of what's better, what's worse, and so it's nice to have now a non-emotional, unbiased assessment of where do we actually stand, what's better, what's worse, what's still a work in progress, so that we can focus our efforts and actually get real results from this turnaround.
I do think the public perception, perhaps this assessment will find otherwise, is that the turnaround has not been particularly effective because, and partly that it is hard to take, how do you separate the pandemic and the timing of that? I do think that's a fair point that people make, but you know, I think there's also this feeling that, okay, you know, the city ran the schools for years, they ran into big trouble and they were in a bad place. Then the state took over, the city schools still have a lot of problems. And is it solvable? I mean, is there, for you, you're a data guy, you like to do your research, is there an urban school district you look at out somewhere else in the country that was in as big a hole as the Providence schools have been, that you think figured out how to make like really meaningful progress for their students?
Yeah, so first of all, I think we set ourselves up for failure by even asking the question of, is it solvable? I think the right question is it improvable? This isn't a binary choice. We're not going to figure out some secret sauce and then suddenly every child in Providence is getting a world-class education. We have to work towards that. This is a question of progress. And I don't know if you followed the state Senate led by Providence Senator Sam Zurier just came out with an excellent report with some real life, actually nearby examples centered largely on Springfield, Massachusetts, and their empowerment zones, where they have made meaningful progress in an urban district that very much looks like Providence, with the same demographics and socioeconomic criteria for their students that I think is a good role model for us. And I think we should be striving for consistent and regular improvements in our schools because any parent with a child today says, I can't wait 10 years. My kid's in third grade now. By the time you quote unquote fix this, my child's going to be out of high school. And so we need to be looking for yearly progress. They made some really good substantive recommendations in that report. The turnaround plan is a good plan. Go back to the Johns Hopkins report. The turnaround plan is a good plan. The failure in Providence, and I think often in Rhode Island, is our inability to execute on good plans. We write good plans and then we don't actually execute plans very well. We have a good plan. We have to stay the course, focus our efforts on where we need the most attention now. I think this assessment will help us with that, and then transition back to local control.
Yeah, good plans take money, and there's a budget deficit looming with the schools. You touted what you said was an historic investment in schools in your budget, but our Alexandra Leslie has been reporting on teacher layoff and non-renewal letters going out, ostensibly to deal with this budget gap. How do you square those two things?
The Providence Public Schools, like every other school district in Rhode Island, like every other local government and like state government, all received a great deal of one-time federal funds. And those federal funds, being one-time, expire. And so PPSD had hired some interventionists and specialists with those one-time funds. They were flagged that they were one-time funds. And so that money was always going to run out. What I've done is increased funding from the city for the first time in 7 years by $3 million in unrestricted funds to go to the PPSD budget, while at the same time making historic investments in our school buildings. The General Assembly has just given us approval to borrow another $400 million for construction. That's separate from the funding that's going right into the general fund of PPSD. And so we're putting real money into our schools. And not that anyone is excited to be losing some of these important educators and other professionals in the schools, but they were funded with one-time federal funds. And the city has had to deal with the expiration of those funds. The state is dealing with that, and every school district around Rhode Island is doing the same. Providence is always bigger than the other school districts, so the numbers look bigger, but they were paid for with one-time funds. It's what we expected was going to happen.
We could do the whole show on the schools, but there are some other topics that we want to get in here. I want to ask you about Lifespan, state's, of course, largest hospital group. So we've had multiple conversations on this show before about your efforts to get Lifespan to come to the table, not just come to the table, but agree to some sort of payment in lieu of taxes agreement, as the colleges have in a big way. You've expressed repeated frustration as recently as your budget address. Where do things stand today? We are in negotiations. There are offers on the table of payments. So we've broken through that threshold of no payments, and we're trying to get to something that is fair to the taxpayers of Providence, but is possible by the institution. As I have expressed many times, this has taken much longer than I thought. But I will say that they're negotiating in good faith, and there are actual dollars being negotiated at the table now, and we're trading proposals.
Can you give us a sense as to what kind of dollars we're talking about?
Again, it's not what I consider to be adequate at this point. We're not going to negotiate in public, just like John Fernandez has said the same on this show. He's the CEO of Lifespan, we should say. Yeah. This is one of the largest employers, one of the largest property owners in the city of Providence, and their budget is bigger than my budget. And so the fact that them coming up with a 6 or 7 figure payment should be something that they can accommodate relatively easily in a budget of that scale.
I will say, compared with the deep freeze tone of your previous remarks, that's a little bit warmer sounds like from you on Lifespan.
It is a little bit warmer because we're finally trading offers, and that's how this process is supposed to work, and it's taken a long time to get to this point.
Did that happen after your budget address, where you pretty publicly had to call them out again?
No, we had started trading financial proposals before it, but we had hit a bit of a roadblock or a bit of a dead end, it felt like, and so I expressed that frustration publicly. We got back to the table, and we keep working at it.
All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, traffic on the bridge is better for some, but not for all. The latest on the Washington Bridge, at least through the Providence Mayor's eyes. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White alongside 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi. Our guest this week is Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Mayor, our colleague Kim Kalunian sat down with RIDOC Director Peter Albidi, and he acknowledged there is a problem with the eastbound flow of traffic into the city. Westbound got better when they opened that third lane, but eastbound, it got worse. Wondering if you've talked to the state about what's going on and how it's being addressed, and maybe, if not, overall your assessment of how things are going on the Washington Bridge.
Yeah, I mean, eastbound did get worse, and we're feeling that in the city. When they added the third lane, the on-ramp in India Point Park,
yes.
I think they lost a part of a merge lane, or it's now harder to merge, so that's a bottleneck right now, which is causing South Water Street, Point Street, Eddy Street, all to back
so
up.
Clogged up
it's
there.
A mess,
yeah.
And then people divert, right? It's like everyone lives on Waze or Google Maps, and it says if it's 30 seconds faster to go that way, they go that way, and so then we have Waterman Street getting filled, people trying to save a minute wherever they can. RIDOC needs to fix this. It's a real problem. It's a particularly problem in the afternoon commute, and so we are talking to them. They've acknowledged that there's a problem. They don't have a fix yet for it, but it's an afternoon mess right now.
You had a interesting quote to our old friend Dan McGowan, who's now at the Boston Globe, earlier this spring. You said, quote, "The things I get excited about are not the things that everyone gets excited about," which was a very you quote, having covered you for quite a while. What's something going on in the city that you're excited about that you think is something that other people might not get as enthused about, but you think it is a big deal?
So just this morning, we cut the ribbon on an accessory dwelling unit in the West End, which was a long time coming. It got started during the pandemic, so it had some delays. But for all the discussion, I remain convinced that the housing crisis is the top concern right now. It's the thing I hear most, the thing I'm most worried about. The clear solution to it is density, that we need to build more. This is a supply problem. For all of the other policy conversations going on right now, the single most important thing to do is increase supply. And there's a lot of NIMBYism, there's a lot of subsidy that goes into a ton of projects, but ADUs are a fabulous solution. This was an old garage, which is now a studio apartment. It didn't change the character of the neighborhood. It didn't overly burden as city services. It's like one small change. And you think about, there are thousands of these opportunities throughout our city and tens of thousands across the state. It was a very small thing this morning, but it was an excellent example of something that we could do in nearly every neighborhood and practically on every street to meaningfully increase the supply of housing.
And let's stay on housing, because I think when we did our week-long series on housing, I mean, we've before that, and especially since that, we've heard nonstop from viewers about this, as you have too as mayor. Providence is going to have to be, it would seem to me, a huge part of the solution for Rhode Island as a whole. It's roughly 20% of the population. I mean, are there big things you could do in the city? You mentioned NIMBYism to make it much faster. You see places like Austin where they suddenly get a lot going. It does seem like the demand is there in Providence.
It absolutely is. And Austin's a great example, by the way, for all the conversations that happen around rent control or some of these other more controversial topics. Austin built dramatically, and their rents came down. It's like not that complicated, but there's actually academic proof to now back it up. And so we were the first city in the state to pass all of the speaker's new housing laws into local ordinance. We're in the middle of our comprehensive plan where we're doing widespread upzoning. And
when will that take effect, or do you hope?
So the city council will have it as soon as they're done with the budget in July. We hope that they will pass it this fall, and then the state has to approve it, which is often sort of a rubber stamp for each community. And so that hopefully happens in January, and then it's off to the races. And so, everyone's looking for a big, sexy crane downtown, but the reality is we're going to have 4-story apartment buildings with 30 units popping up all over town. And in aggregate, that's going to be real density.
So you think when that zoning change takes effect, we're going to really notice the before and after of that?
Yes, I'm going to notice it, and I think people in neighborhoods are going to notice it. If you're driving through Providence and you don't see a crane on the horizon, you're going to say nothing's happening. But in reality, hundreds and maybe even thousands of units are going to be being built throughout our neighborhoods. Last year, without a whole lot of fanfare, private developers completed 800 new housing units. We have 500 under construction right now. And these are not big iconic buildings. These are small scale developments throughout our neighborhoods that are adding up to real numbers. City of Providence, at its heyday was 250,000 people. The landmass didn't shrink. It's the same size city geographically, so we can support additional density. We have before, and it's going to be by filling in all these gaps all around the city.
Got a little over a minute before we go to a break. I want to ask you about this. Mayor, 4 pedestrians have died in roughly a year on North Main Street. 4. What is going on?
It is a major problem, and we are trying to do everything we can. There's a complication that North Main Street is a state road, so there's jurisdictional challenges. We can't just make changes to the physical landscape.
You can't put in speed humps or anything like that without the state?
RIDOT has to do that. We are doing significant stepped-up enforcement. We've written over 500 tickets this year alone. We've got special traffic details there every weekday now. There's too much speeding, and many of these crosswalks are dangerous. Sadly, most of those fatalities have happened late at night, and the one most recently, actually, the gentleman was in the median. He was in the middle. He wasn't in the street. He wasn't in the crosswalk. It was a driver who we believe was under the influence and jumped the curb. But it is a raceway down there. And
it is a fast stretch of road.
It is a fast stretch of road, so the road needs some physical modifications to slow down things like bump outs and maybe speed bumps, enhancements to lighting and crosswalks, enforcement certainly. And the other thing that would really help, honestly, is some development. And as you know, there's stretches of North Main Street where it's just seas of parking lots. And what will also slows down traffic is cars turning in and out of stores and apartment buildings and everything else. And so the broader effort to try to redevelop North Main Street into a more vibrant, thriving neighborhood will also slow down traffic, because once you get past University Heights or the Whole Foods, you fly to the Pawtucket line, and there's no reason to tap the brakes. It's just a sea of parking lots, and late at night, there's no activity. And so it is a raceway, and it's unsafe, and we're pushing right out to do more. The council person in the area is very engaged, and we're doing our best.
All right, we're going to take a break here. Our guest is Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. This is Ted Nesi. Our guest this week is Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Mayor, we have 4 or 5 minutes left in the program, so I want to hit up a couple of quick things. Pride Fest, weekend of June 14th. We heard grumblings that you were pushing to end things a bit earlier on that weekend and ordering venues to turn off the music at 1 a.m. instead of 2. Your office confirmed that in a statement. Why?
So we do something called City Services, where Arts, Culture, and Tourism, Providence Police, licensing, DPW, everyone who's involved in a special event gets together and works on event by event. As downtown transitions to a neighborhood, with more and more people living there, which is a good thing, we have to strike the right balance. So there will be block parties until 2 a.m. like there always have been.
People buy in Providence. No, that's like complaining about jet noise when you buy a house next to TF Green. I mean, people know they're going into a city and it's going to have events like this.
It's true, but it's also, I think, a reasonable compromise to allow the block party to continue until 2 a.m. as it always has, but to take the music inside at 1 a.m. And so it's sort of a tapering down of the noise outside. The party will still go until 2 a.m. And we thought it was the right and fair and reasonable compromise to weigh the interests of all the people living downtown and the people who want to enjoy one of the best prides in the country.
A colleague of ours was at a bar and saw a sticker that said, quote, "Brett Smiley hates fun." I mean, we've talked about this before, but are you worried about a perception, particularly among people who aren't super engaged in politics, to just hear when the mayor pulled back PVD Fest, the mayor is making changes to Pride, that they will get the impression that you're kind of our disciplinarian mayor, as opposed to a mayor who also loves the fun part of the city?
I don't care if anybody thinks I hate fun. I don't want Providence to have the reputation of not being fun, but it is in fact always about balance. We went through many years in this city where it was sort of anything goes, and there was not a lot of consistency or policies around festivals, fairs, parties, special events, etc. The Board of Licensees went through a thoughtful process to start to institute some policies that are now taking effect, and I think all the business owners are starting to realize, well, it's not so freewheeling, anything goes as it was in years past. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud that we have consistent policies that we intend to adhere to. And it is, in fact, always about finding balance, in my perspective between our residents, our business owners, our visitors, and we try really hard to strike that right balance, and then we make adjustments as we go forward. I think this is a reasonable compromise. It will still be a fun Pride. Providence will still be a fun city, even if their mayor is less fun.
All right. I'd like an update, if you could, on the pallet shelters. I mean, it feels long overdue to get those. They're built, but they're just not occupied yet. Where does that stand?
As far as I know, they'll be opening in the fall. They have everything they need from the city. I had hoped that they would open in March or April, which was the original timeline. I think it's an important strategy to try to help with the unhoused in Providence.
Can I just ask, everyone's talking about housing, everyone's talking about homelessness, state people, city people, and yet this project, we all see it, and we're like, oh, great, they have something, and yet it doesn't come online.
I agree. They've had our approvals for months. My understanding of the situation was that state building and fire inspectors were having a hard time, and there's a question about where do they fit in the code? They don't fit anywhere in the code. Are they mobile homes? Is it an apartment building? Is it open space? And so I would have hoped that waivers would have been granted quickly and easily, and recognize that the alternative for most of the residents who are going to live in these shelters were tents in very unsafe circumstances. But that part is a question for the state.
Minute and a half left here, Mayor. Steph Machado at the Globe reported on a proposal to allow for cannabis sales at well-known Providence spots like Federal Hill and East Side. Support or oppose?
I will support the zoning change because I think they've been thoughtful. They've gone through a process, but I have some anxiety about it. I've always sort of struggled with this, but it's the way of the world these days, and certainly have been in cities where they've had cannabis shops in commercial areas and they haven't been a detriment. It's not something that, I'm not sure I'll be at the ribbon cutting, but it is something that I think we can do safely in a way that doesn't detract from the other businesses.
About 30 seconds for this one, Mayor. State budget, we expect to come out tonight. It'll be out by the time people see this, but what are you going to be looking for most closely among the unanswered questions in Speaker Shekarchi's budget?
With respect to the budget, two things. One is fully funding the state pilot program. The governor level funded it, which was actually a cut to cities and towns. Providence gets a lot of that money. It helps with our nonprofit institutions. And two, there was a unintended consequence for how the tangible tax rebate happened last year, which was a priority of the Senate, that severely hurt Providence and several other cities. We've been in close negotiations over a fix that we're optimistic will be in tomorrow's budget.
And that is how my friend Ted will be spending his birthday evening, is at the State House, waiting for the budget to come out. So if you want to learn more about the budget, you're watching this program over the weekend, you can read Ted's stuff. It'll be tear-stained on WPRI.com if you miss any of this program.
Who doesn't want $14 billion for their birthday?
That's true. And all the debt.
Exactly.
See you next week on Newsmakers.